Good morning. JBN Consulting is a local management and IT consulting firm that applies senior-level resources to our clients' top priority projects. At JBN, we recognize that visions, dedication, and embracing new ideas are essential components for success, and it's a strategy that works. And it is this strategy that has certainly worked for our next speakers, John Marshall and Carl Eschenbach. John founded Atlanta-based AirWatch in 2003, and under his leadership, the company has grown into one of the leading enterprise mobility management providers in the world. In February 2013, he secured one of the largest Series A funding rounds in history at $200 million, and earlier this year helped guide AirWatch towards its acquisition by VMware for $1.54 billion. Currently, John serves as Senior Vice President and General Manager at AirWatch by VMware, where he drives the company's strategy and operations and works closely with Carl Eschenbach. Carl has more than 24 years of high-tech industry experience, including infrastructure software, networking, telephony, and storage. He has served as Vice President of North America Sales at Intome, and he has held various sales positions with 3Com, EMC, and Lucent Technologies. Carl serves as Chief Operating Officer of VMware, a leader in virtualization and cloud infrastructure solutions, with 2013 revenues of more than $5 billion. VMware has more than 500,000 customers, 75,000 partners, and is headquartered in Silicon Valley and has offices around the world, and now here in Atlanta. We are all anxious to hear about VMware's plan in Atlanta. So without further delay, please join me in welcoming to the stage John Marshall, Senior Vice President and General Manager of AirWatch by VMware, followed by VMware's COO, Carl Eschenbach.
Well, it's great to be here, and thank you to TAG and the Georgia Technology Summit. We're extremely grateful for everything the Atlanta community has done for us through this growth phase of our business. Started 10 years ago, and on the theme of innovation, I certainly wasn't very innovative 10 years ago when I started the business of putting Wi-Fi hotspots in cafes and the Taco Macs of the world. But that was really a starting point and an entry point for me, because I knew I wanted to be in mobility, I knew I wanted to be in software, and we innovated our way into this marketplace. And we recognized in the early days that people had a lot of challenges on these wireless networks and things they needed to manage. And at that time, nobody else was thinking about these devices in the way we were. And we helped bridge the gap between Silicon Valley and Atlanta. We created relationships with Apple. We created relationships in Korea with Samsung, with HTC, with many others out there. And we started to drive that mobile ecosystem and that glue that has helped all of the different companies in this room today innovate in your own collective businesses. And so today, as you think about the apps, we help companies enable those apps on those devices. As you think about sharing content and collaborating, we help drive that content collaboration. We help drive the security. We make it easy for all these applications to connect into that office infrastructure. But that's just the starting point. Because when I think about innovation, I think we're just getting started. It's great that we all move from email to now apps and lots of smartphones and tablets and now moving on to laptops and other stuff. That's fantastic, but to me that's just a baseline. And that baseline sets a foundation for where we're going next. And where we're going next is a combination. Everybody's heard about this Internet of Things and everybody's tired of hearing about that. But we have done some very innovative things together to help drive that. We announced at Mobile World Congress back in Barcelona a couple months ago a relationship with Intel. We now have the ability, working with Intel, to manage at the chip level. And that's a phenomenal next step of what we're doing. So there are hundreds of APIs that we're collaborating with Intel, so that without an operating system, without a device, now they're Bay Trail chips that go in every one of these computers and smartphones in the next generations will have a whole set of APIs and containerization and capabilities that serve as that next generation of foundation to help truly drive the Internet of Things. Because what we're going to see now is we're going to see a transformation in the next 6 to 12 months. With the Fitbits and the healthcare and all these different things, you're going to see innovation in home healthcare. You're going to see innovation in retail, in aviation, in all these different environments because of that foundational element that we're helping to drive. But sometimes when you're driving innovation, you also have to look at the big picture. And we've grown from 0 to 1,600 people, predominantly really in the last 3 years. But to do the types of things we're doing, it often requires you to think bigger. And sometimes requiring you to think bigger means you have to go outside of the box of what you're thinking about. And that really is what drove us to work together with VMware. Here's a company that had innovated and changed the world around how people think about servers and storage and virtualization. They completely innovated from going from a physical server to this virtual concept. And they drove that business, and Carl especially helped drive that business over the last 12 years from 150 people to 15,000 and to $5 billion in revenue. And what we're going to do as a next step together is now AirWatch combined with VMware has the power and the strength to go change that next step of the journey for all of us. Because when we're back on stage in the next year or two, we're going to be managing the Google Glasses, and we're going to be managing the Internet of Things, and we're going to help drive innovation in your cars, in your different accessories, in your home, and all these different things. And that will serve as a catalyst to the next set of productivity and the next set of exciting things that we're all going to do together. So a big part of what I wanted to do is introduce Carl and really set the stage for what we're doing. And now with AirWatch as part of VMware, we have the access to those 500,000 customers and beyond. We had grown and scaled our organization very quickly, but we certainly didn't have the right coverage that we needed in Asia, in Japan, and parts of Latin America. Together now with the 15,000 employees of VMware, their 75,000 partners, and those customers I mentioned, we now have the size and the strength and the market relevance to go drive that next set of innovation. So with that, Carl's going to help give you a view into VMware today, the importance of the integration now with AirWatch, and how we're going to continue to invest in the Atlanta community, continue to drive the innovation here in Atlanta, bridge together the excitement of things going on in Silicon Valley, together with the excitement of things going on here. And it's going to be an amazing next step and an amazing next step of the chapter and the journey together for Atlanta, for VMware, and together everything we can do. So with that, Carl, thank you very much.
I'd like to, on behalf of all of VMware, our employees, our shareholders, our customers, and our partners, thank TAG for having us here today, and thank John and the AirWatch team for giving us this rich opportunity that we have going forward to be participating in the Atlanta community straight from the Silicon Valley. And I'd like to welcome John officially to the team at VMware. And I shouldn't say team, I should more representatively say our family, because we really run our company as a family of employees and people who deliver innovative technologies and solutions into the market on a regular basis. And what I'd like to do today is share with you our vision of how VMware with AirWatch will transform an IT industry once again, just like we have in the last decade. And I'll do that in the context of what we expect to get out of the Atlanta community that AirWatch has built a presence in so successfully. And that VMware will double down our efforts on this community to ensure the richness of the Silicon Valley meets the richness of the Atlanta community to bring innovation to market once again. So let me just start by talking about VMware's vision. Our vision is quite simple. We want to empower people and organizations by radically simplifying how IT is delivered through the use of powerful software called virtualization. This is what is the core of our company. This is how, over the last 10 years, we have scaled from those 150 people to 15,000 people. We are a core technology company who first and foremost thinks of our people and then thinks of how we can continue to innovate through virtualization software. And in doing this, we've established ourselves as one of the top 5 largest software companies in the world. Established only in 1988 or 1998, the company is just now getting into our teenage years. It was founded out of the academia community at Stanford University, where we're still based in the heart of the Silicon Valley. We have customers around the world, more than 500,000 of them. We have partners, more than 75,000 partners around the world that take our solutions into the market to successfully help companies simplify how they serve their customers through the use of virtualization software. And this chart just represents some of the customer base we have. In fact, my guess is many of you in here today use VMware software to help simplify and radically transform their data centers over the years. And for that, we seriously and significantly thank you. With that as a backdrop, it's not just about technology. In fact, it's about the people. And we at VMware fundamentally believe it's people who make companies successful, not companies who make people successful. And a couple years ago, we went on a journey. We went on a journey internally to define what is the culture and the value system of the company that we all want to be part of. And a lot of times, companies set their culture and value statements top down. VMware did it significantly different. We said, we're going to go out to our employee population, and they're going to determine what they want the culture and the value systems to look like at VMware. And through that journey and through that exercise, we came up with our value statement. We call it EPIC 2. EPIC, quite frankly, stands for E is execution. It's the discipline of getting things done. P is passion. Do we have passion for what we're doing for our customers, our partners, for each other, for our families? I for integrity. Everything we do at VMware starts and stops with personal and business integrity. C for customers. Without customers, we fundamentally don't have a company. And last, but absolutely not least, is community. We have a saying at VMware that we want to give back to the communities in which we work, we live, and we play. And we want to give back to the communities more than we take from them. Because we believe if we service our community in the right way, we will actually get more than we ever even expected. We give our employees more than a week a year to go out and serve in the communities wherever they want around the world. And we actually have a rich charitable contribution and foundation at the company where we will actually allow our employees to give to the charity of their choice each and every year. That is a sense of community that we have at VMware. And based on the culture and the values of our company, we have been able to achieve very good success. As John said earlier, in 2013, our revenues topped $5 billion, which represented a growth of more than 17% on a year-over-year basis. Now, this is 3 times as fast as the IT industry as a whole. It's 3 times as fast as the software industry has been growing in the last many years. And we don't stand up here to boast or brag about the success or the growth of our company, but fundamentally, you can't grow at this rate, at this size, unless you're bringing significant business value through technology solutions to our customers. And that is exactly what we're doing today, and we will do in the future. Now at VMware, as I said earlier, we're a very innovative company. And we drive massive amount of innovation organically or through our R&D and engineering organization, which makes up more than half of our company. And in 2013 alone, we brought to market more than 230 new releases of software and code. At the same time, we brought to market major new releases of our software to deliver innovation all the way from the data center to the desktop. But we at VMware don't believe innovation only comes through organic development of solutions. In fact, innovation comes through the recognition of market opportunities, through the recognition that there's an opportunity for someone to capture. And if you can't originate or organically build innovation fast enough, you need to go out and make acquisitions. And last year, VMware made 2 very key acquisitions to help us get into 2 markets that we couldn't get into fast enough ourselves. We are innovating through acquisition. That's what we did in 2013. But as we went into 2014, we knew there was a piece of our strategy that we had not yet filled. And we knew there was a company out there that was driving and leading enterprise mobile management and security, and that was AirWatch. VMware scorched the earth to find the best enterprise mobile management company out there, and someone who themselves continued to innovate. And that's how we landed upon AirWatch, VMware's single largest acquisition for $1.5 billion. This acquisition closed just a couple weeks ago, and we couldn't be more proud to have this rich asset as part of our family. So why did we do it? It wasn't just technology alone, but we fundamentally found a company in AirWatch that actually had a lot of the same cultural and value traits that I described earlier. And we also found a market that VMware did not exist other than sales and marketing, and that is right here in Atlanta. If you look at the infrastructure in Atlanta, what we were intrigued by is that the human capital component of growing a technology company was rich because we could pull from the college and university systems that exist here today. There was an infrastructure for transportation that allows us to easily service the local market and community. And at the same time, from Atlanta, you can get almost to any place you want in the world without a stop over on a plane. The infrastructure was there. At the same time, we learned through working with John and his team how rich of a technology market there is here, with organizations like TAG, with the Chamber of Commerce continuing to foster and grow technology and innovation companies right here in this local market. And if you look in the past, in the not too distant past, many technology companies have originated in Atlanta. And when you think about service providers and telcos and people driving the mobile era, it all started here in Atlanta. These are all just one of the reasons we knew that when we met John and his team, that AirWatch was the right fit. And VMware has made a commitment to continue to invest in the Atlanta market. As John said, they have more than 1,600 people in the company, roughly 1,000 of them right here in Atlanta. And as we went through this acquisition in the due diligence phase, we committed to John that we would continue to invest, not only in AirWatch here in Atlanta, but VMware would take advantage of everything I just articulated, and we would actually also invest and bring VMware resources into this market. At the same time, we were impressed with what they were doing in the community. Just like I described VMware focusing on how we're servicing our community, John and his team has done a great job in doing that right here in Atlanta. So technologically, yes, great fit. Culturally, yes, probably even better. The Atlanta market, a rich opportunity, absolutely, and that's why we're here today to talk to you. And we believe that together we will revolutionize and change the dynamics of the mobile market together right here based in Atlanta. Now that's enough looking back, because we can't just look back, we need to look ahead. We don't want to be history majors, we want to focus on current events and how we drive transformation and innovation into the future. And VMware and AirWatch are focused on 3 key priorities and strategies going forward. The first is this notion that I'll articulate of the software-defined data center. The second priority and strategy is how we can allow customers to leverage technologies like cloud computing and seamlessly do so. And lastly, how do we, with and through, in conjunction with AirWatch, transform end user computing and change how we used to get access to applications through PCs and laptops, now take that vision all the way to mobile devices. To do this, we had to come up with guiding principles of how we go and we attack those three key priorities. First, we need to stay on the right side of technology. If you look at our technology industry today, some of the biggest, most successful companies of the past are challenged because this wave of innovative, smaller, disruptive companies are coming into the market and thinking about what's next, and they're not focused on protecting the past. So while VMware has grown to be a large company, $5 billion plus, we continue to think about how do we stay ahead of the technology curve. Second, we always strive, and we will always do what's best for our customers. Even if it isn't in the best interest necessarily of VMware's business, if it's in the best interest of the customer, you bet we're going to do it. And lastly, no company in technology can scale at the rate and pace of someone like VMware over the last decade to be $5 billion plus without the recognition that you can't do it by yourself and the fact that you have to do it with an ecosystem. And when I share with you what we're doing in the data center, you'll understand that VMware truly is a platform company. And to claim you're a platform company in any type of data center, you better have a rich set of ecosystem partners that will support you, because you need to talk to the underlying infrastructure. At the same time, you need to talk to the operating systems and applications that sit above. That is a platform company, and an ecosystem has to be part of it. Now, going forward, we need to start to think about how do we attack this market, and what is the size of the market we want to go after. Those three priorities we have around the software-defined data center, hybrid cloud, and end-user computing represents about a $50 billion total addressable market opportunity for VMware. That's what gets us excited. VMware is focusing through an innovative approach on the biggest technology trends in the industry. And this is why, going forward, we believe we're well positioned to service you in the ecosystem of our partners as a whole. So how do we do this? What is next? How do we go forward? Well, our belief is we have to go forward through something we call the software-defined enterprise. And what is the software-defined enterprise? Why is it so exciting? Well, let's start by looking back. We here today are in the middle of another major tectonic shifts. Tectonic shifts happen in our industry every 10 to 15 years. We went from the mainframe era to the client-server era, and now the big tectonic shift we're in today is what we call the mobile cloud era. And when these tectonic shifts happen, it puts a lot of pressure and strain on IT as a whole, especially when you consider IT budgets are relatively flat or in some cases declining. Now, even with declining budgets or flat budgets, we, through innovation like VMware has brought around server virtualization, have found ways to make IT more efficient. But it's not efficient enough. In fact, what we continue to see is we continue to see more and more demands from your customers or from lines of business. In fact, in the last 3 to 4 years, we've seen more friction than ever between the consumers of IT and the producers of IT services. And that's because in this new mobile cloud era, we now have to deal with millions of applications and literally billions of users. And those billions of users now are coming to work with a device that has penetrated the enterprise. This is why there's a disconnect between IT and the ability to deliver at the rate and pace of your customers or the lines of business you're servicing. So why does this exist? Why does this challenge exist today? Well, because if you look at the data centers today, a lot of them actually look like history museums. And I say that because technology silos have been established. Hardware has been built. Hardware has grown, if you will, vertically to support operating systems and applications. The next application comes into the data center, we build another silo. When you build silos, it's much harder to operate. You don't have a standardized way of delivering services. This is very complex, and you are absolutely underutilizing your infrastructure. At the same time, new emerging silos are coming into the market, and people are delivering SaaS solutions like Workday or Salesforce or any other software as a service, and it's another silo. Silos are very complex. We need to change this going forward, and we need to simplify the data center through the use of virtualization. Because to get to where we want to go in the future and to establish a reputable infrastructure and service delivery model in this new mobile cloud era, we have to find ways to liberate the resources that are in the data center today. And the only technology today that can help you liberate the resources and the dollars you're spending on just keeping the lights on in your data center is virtualization. Virtualization bridges this gap of legacy to this new tectonic era that we're in mobile cloud. And all of us are challenged with legacy. I often say there's a reason that God could create the world in 6 days and take the 7th day off. It's because he had no legacy. In IT, we have legacy. We spend 70% of our dollars keeping the lights on in a data center. We spend 30% of our dollars on innovation. We need to change that. And VMware, through just server virtualization, is today saving our customers on average more than $10 billion a year. That's $10 billion that can be used to drive innovation. And for the CIOs in the room, we want you to become chief innovation officers and no longer be chief information officers. And it is virtualization that can allow us to do that. And if we get this right and we can build what I'll describe as a software-defined enterprise, for the first time, IT and IT organizations will be ahead of the curve and be ready and waiting for the demands that come from the line of business. We call this IT at the speed of business. So how does this all occur? Well, first and foremost, everything in the world starts with applications. I saw some of the innovative companies up here, they were talking about their applications. Applications are the intellectual property of all companies. And there's many types of applications, whether traditional, modern, or new SaaS as I described. But those applications are only as good and as reliable and as secure as the infrastructure they run on. And this is where VMware has historically had our focus. We started in this industry with something called server virtualization. And this whole notion of abstraction, pulling of resources, and automating x86 and compute capacity in the data center to drive efficiency. And we've been extremely successful there, but we can't stop. We need to now start to move horizontally across the data center and start to address the rest of the physical environment that exists to drive those same economies of scale, efficiencies, scalability, and security in the future. And this is great if we're talking about this in the context of the four walls of someone's data center. But with cloud computing, we have no boundaries. We need to go way beyond the four walls of the data center, and everything I'm articulating has to be serviced or capable of being served in a public cloud at the same time. And all of this has to be based on not just management tools. In fact, we need to move from a world of where we're managing infrastructure and managing technology to a world where it's all becoming automated. And if we do that, we'll start to get the economies of scale that we're all looking for, and we'll also offload the intensive human capital side of IT and allow them to go work on those new innovations that I described earlier. Now, this is great. I've talked about applications, I've talked about infrastructure, but applications are only as good as the infrastructure, and applications are only as good as the people who are getting access to them. And at VMware, this is the third leg of our strategy, where we're focusing on those end users and allowing them the ability to come to work each and every day, just like they live in their personal world, come to work with whatever device they want, and securely get access to those applications. This is the notion of a software-defined enterprise that VMware is embarking upon to once again radically transform an industry that's been stagnant in certain parts of the enterprise over the last decade. Now, to do this, we needed to think about how do we support both traditional and next-generation applications. And I talked about the power of server virtualization and all the money we've saved our customers through server virtualization by breaking the compute bond between the operating system and the underlying hardware. And that's what allows VMware to grow to where we're at today. But as I said, we need to now start to move horizontally across the rest of the data center and do the exact same thing to the network infrastructure that exists today. For the last 2 decades, network infrastructures have not changed. There's still a lot of manual labor to provision layer 2 and 3 networking services, layer 4 through 7 networking services. That needs to change, because with the concept of virtualization and server virtualization, we can create a compute capacity literally in minutes, but then it's got to be handed off to the assembly line of networking service, which can take weeks. Now, with network virtualization, we can do all of this in software over the existing infrastructures probably that many of you have today without any change to your underlying architecture, but get the benefits of server virtualization for the network. And we're not going to stop there. We're going to do the same thing to the storage environment. So you can start to do all of your storage and data policies in software at time of virtual machine creation. This, folks, is a complete change, not just technologically to how data centers will serve customers in the future, but it's a change to the operating model. The operating model of siloed organizations that exist under CIOs. This all now will radically change the operating model, making all of us much more efficient and again allowing us to focus on innovation. And wrapping around all of this needs to be the management automation tools that allow human capital side of IT to back off. And the line of business does not necessarily need to have any human interaction going forward. This is our vision of the software-defined enterprise at the infrastructure level. Now, at the same time, as I said earlier, we can't stop there. In fact, we need to take all of those same concepts I just described and be able to seamlessly federate workloads to a public cloud without any change at all or whatsoever to the underlying architecture, whether it's the security state, it's the network state. You want to use the same common management platform you use today. So effectively what we want to do is to allow any application to run any place at any time. This can be achieved through the technology that we call hybrid cloud. And VMware is in the process of building out our own public cloud infrastructures to allow our customers, who today have more than 45 million virtual machines in the enterprise that may one day want to run in a public cloud, we can allow a customer to seamlessly do that in a very secure way without any change to their operating model. Powerful concept. It's not private cloud or public cloud. It's not versus one or the other. It's truly going to be a hybrid cloud that we live in the future. At the same time, we need to make sure that people, as I said earlier, can get access to their applications to any device they so desire to use. We want to be able to create what we call an enterprise app portal, where a user comes to the office and he or she logs in, and what they see is the exact same experience that they do when they go to their iPhone and they go to the iCloud and they want an application. We're creating what we call a virtual workspace, and that virtual workspace will be secured through the technology that we got through the acquisition of AirWatch to secure that device on the enterprise If that device is lost or stolen, everything goes with it. We shut it off. There is no more access to infrastructure. This is our vision, our view of true end-user computing transformation. When I leave the office, I leave my PC or my laptop, I go on the road. If I want access to applications or I want to watch a movie, no matter where I go, I should be able to grab any device at any time and get access to the application, the movie, whatever that is, through any device exactly where I left it in the past. This is the whole notion of work and access to applications at the speed of life. Now, this is really good, and it sounds like a great story, and it's a powerful story. And I'm not talking about futures. We can deliver this technology and solutions today between us and AirWatch. But everyone has existing infrastructure and existing organizations. Today, as I said, everything I'm talking about in the data center, we can take your existing infrastructure, and because of the power and the abstraction you get through the use of virtualization, we can leverage those existing infrastructures. There is no rip and replace, and we can deliver the software-defined data center. At the same time, there are organizations, and many of your organizations today, that actually feel like they're siloed. There's the network team, there's the storage team, there's the VMware team, there's the Microsoft team. Those silos need to come down. And as leaders in IT, if we help organizations get better aligned into a single common cloud infrastructure team, we will break down the silos not only of technology, but we'll also break down the silos in the human capital side of business of IT. And with that, if this happens, the business benefits will be there, and they will be richer than anyone would have ever expected or experienced. And there's a number of stats on here that I can share with you, as it relates to our customers and the business benefit they're getting through the use of these type of technologies and solution. I think the ones that you should pull out of here that are the key takeaways is, yes, we can service the business faster. And yes, we can do this at a significant reduced cost. And yes, the software-defined enterprise can bridge the legacy that we're living with today in our data centers and get us to this new era of mobile and cloud computing. And we at VMware, in conjunction with our friends now at AirWatch, truly believe we have the right technology, we have the right partner ecosystem, and we believe we have the right operating model at VMware, both in the Silicon Valley, here now in Atlanta, around the rest of the world, in Bangalore, in Japan, in China, in Cork, Ireland, more than now 16,000 strong with the combination of AirWatch. We will once again transform the industry all the way from the data center, not just to the desktop, but now to the mobile device era. Thank you so much, and thank you for TAG having me and John with you today. Appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And welcome to Atlanta.
Thank you.
Glad to have you here. Congratulations on the job well done.
Thank
We
you.
have an award for each of you. Carl, that's for you.
Thank you.
And John, that's for you.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you,
Thank you.
everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.